It's an epidemic. Thieves stealing catalytic converters from cars, and it costs consumers $2,000 to $3,000 to replace them. A West Valley lawmaker is proposing new laws to crack down on the catalytic converter black market and the thieves who are fueling it.
Last week, we showed you the spike in cases and Valley law enforcement, what they're facing right now. Now there's a potential solution now in the legislature. Fox 10's investigative reporter Justin Lum breaks it down in part 2 of his investigation.
There's already law in place against buying or selling used catalytic converters, but State Representative Diego Espinoza wants to tighten up the loopholes and bring more teeth to this law. He says this bill would deter black market buys. Catching a crook in the act of stealing a catalytic converter is hard. Police across the valley are trying to keep up with the wave of thefts, especially in Phoenix. Last year, investigators got hit with a spike of nearly 6,500% in reports.
If we were to catch somebody after the fact and they were in possession of a catalytic converter, unless we knew where they were coming from, it would be hard to link that particular converter back to the victim's car.
So who's actually buying stolen cat converters? Detective Adam Populier tells me the chain of crime starts with the theft, and converters change hands multiple times, landing in possession of a middleman who could pay the thief a couple $100. The more converters collected, the more lucrative, selling the stolen goods in bulk for a profit at a scrapyard not following the law. The cat converter gets decanned. The ceramic honeycomb inside, containing pricey metals, gets removed and sent to an illegal smelter where the platinum, rhodium, and palladium are extracted, distilled, and sold to manufacturers. In Arizona, it's unlawful for a person to purchase or sell a used catalytic converter unless the purchase or sale is in the ordinary course of business by a commercial motor vehicle parts or repair business in connection with the sale or installation of a new catalytic converter. Yet it still happens. Current law does not make it illegal to possess, solicit, or advertise a used catalytic converter. The black market can be accessed online. We searched websites like OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and eBay. You can find a used catalytic converter easily, listed by many individuals, not businesses. The Class 1 misdemeanor does not apply to scrap metal dealers purchasing the converter from an industrial account or after the converter is authorized for release by a peace officer of the jurisdiction in which the transaction occurs.
As we explain to them what the process is, and they know that they cannot bring it in here without a lot of identification and proper proof of purchase of the one that they're actually replacing it with, they call somebody else.
Welcome to I Buy Scrap in Tempe, a large-scale facility for scrap metal recycling. Mountains of iron from aluminum to stainless steel, it's all here. This place can handle over 250,000 pounds of ferrous material on any given day. But President Trent Hogue tells me there's strict protocol when catalytic converters are offered. If the transaction is legit, Hogue says photos of the converter and the seller's ID are taken, then reported online to the Department of Public Safety within 24 hours.
We have sophisticated computer programs, and we actually upload every evening to a centralized database that the police actually are looking at. So if there are transactions that they're actually looking at, they can quickly identify who the people are and the material that they've actually sold.
From one current insurance company that's doing business here, in 2019, there was a $4.6 million in claims for just catalytic converters. In 2020, $20 million in claims. Currently in 2021, $62.6 million in claims. These are just for catalytic converters themselves.
Democratic State Representative Diego Espinoza believes his proposed legislation can slow down the black market and deter catalytic converter thefts. House Bill 2652 has now crossed over to the state Senate, heard by the Committee on Transportation and Technology Monday. HB 2652 would make it illegal to solicit, advertise, or possess a used catalytic converter outside of buying or selling one. Again, it does not apply to licensed automotive recyclers and scrap metal dealers doing business legally, but Espinoza wants to hold all dealers accountable.
Also ensuring that we are going over to the scrap metal dealers and ensuring that we have additional reporting mechanisms in place and reporting back to DPS to ensure that we can track and monitor the sales.
Not only requiring reporting of transactions, but inspection and reinspection periods. The scrap metal dealer would need to register with the state and sign up on a free theft notification website, allowing law enforcement to send details on stolen items within a 100-mile radius of the theft. Dealers would also notify law enforcement when offered any suspicious materials. If the legislation is passed, violations can lead to civil fines of $500 to $4,000, and law enforcement will be able to crack down on used cat converter listings online.
What we're doing is we're actually including provisions in place that we can track and monitor these individuals and then apprehend them.
I know 2 people within a 2-block radius, 2 different households, that have had their catalytic converters stolen. I mean, this problem is huge, so thank you very much for bringing this forward, and with that, I give you an enthusiastic eye.
And the Senate's Transportation Committee voted to pass the bill 9-0. It now moves on to the Senate's Rules Committee. We'll keep you updated on what happens next. In the newsroom, Justin Lum, Fox 10 News.